All right, so it is 3:10. We'll go ahead and get started in the interest of time. Just a little housekeeping, has some work. Introduce everyone and then you have 2 minutes to speak and 2 minutes for questions. If you get stuck on questions, don't worry, I got a list. But I encourage you to participate in discussions. For the sake of time, I'm going to speak and questions. Okay. So start, I'm Whitney Wynn. I'm the Director of Child and Family Services at Horizon Health, Kentucky. Currently we have locations in London and Williamsburg, and we're moving to Gray this year. Actually, it's in progress right now. Next to me, we have Mr. Thomas McClure. He's the Acting Chief of Party for Support Centers International, as well as the co-chair of the Tri-County Elks Drug Awareness Committee of the National Elks Drug Awareness Program, charter member, International Recovery Tours Association. I know that's a lot. He does good things. Next, we have Mr. James Siler, who's the career advisor at KCEOC Community Action Partnership. And finally, Mr. Jonathan Philpot, that you all heard speak this morning. He's the program administrator of the Kentucky Recovery Housing Network. I know that's a long title. They're going to explain to you exactly what they do and how you can benefit from all the programs that they do. So I'm just going to start real quick. So Horizon Health is fairly new. They opened their first center in 2019, September 2019. So we're about to come up on 5 years, right? In this game, people are popping up all the time. You know, 5 years is not a long time, but it's also not a short time. Some people I know only have 6 months. Worries. Williamsburg opened in 2021, so that campus is also fairly new. We're about to open Gray. After Gray, we go to Clay and Bell. So we're expanding. It's a slow but steady process. A little bit about me. I came from a program called Family Preservation. So I was with social services. And then from that, I went into education where I was a family navigator. So my whole career has been centered around families, right? Makes sense, child and family services. So something important about that, though, is that I focused on getting them to treatment. I was not the treatment, right? So I came to this blind. I have no idea. Like, they've hired me on to do child and family services. And I was like, that's cool. I've been doing this for 12 years. We're all good. No, I had so much to learn. And like anybody else with a type A personality, that's research, listen, went to every meeting that I could possibly find. And in one of those meetings was Dr. Alex Ellswick. And he really instilled in me the idea of recovery capital being important, right? So recovery capital is housing, employment, everything but the physical treatment, right? The counselors and the providers, that's your treatment. The capital is everything else that they need to, that they get the support to continue in their long-term recovery kind of sustain. So with that, I took this job in 2023, right? We grew our employment services department. That was the first thing. I was like, okay, so they get out of prison or they get out of jail or they get out of treatment. What's the first thing they need? Right? A job sounded good to me. Let's give them a job. So our employment services department is expanded by, I think, 63%. Love that. We offer ODR programming, we offer fundamental services, just like a lot of other people do around here. We're not unique in the employment services department. The unique part is that we offer the child care department, that we will watch your children while you're in treatment. We'll watch your children while you're looking for a job. We'll watch your children while you are applying. If you're in our learning lab, right? We'll let you use our computers all day. You can go in there and apply for jobs all day. We have people that are there to support you. And while we're watching your kids in a safe educational environment. Because what we noticed is that kids became kind of an excuse. I can't work out of 2 years. Oh, I can't make it there and nobody can watch me make it. Okay, so we got a full state funded childcare, right? No worries. After that, we realized we need to grow in training opportunities because a lot of these people that are coming out of incarceration or they're coming out of treatment, maybe they not as trained, not as well trained as other people. So we started developing these service opportunities for growth in training, such as CPR and first aid, CHW classes, peer support classes, just anything that we could think of, OSHA safety training, to try to give them a leg up so that they're not starting a leg down, right? Level that playing field and make it so where they can continue to grow and benefit from our services. Well, with that came a growth in community partnerships. Our trainings got better. Our programming got better. Our recreational activities got better. We were able to provide people with hiking activities, yoga, centered around arts, which continued to grow and grow and grow. And then we added more services. We added a whole CHW department. CHW is community health workers, so they get to focus on insurance. They get to focus on housing. They get to focus on, do you understand your treatment? Like, are you fully grasping what that means? Why is employment services important in your recovery? It's not just something we're pushing you toward, it's a whole treatment process, right? We involve youth programs. I don't know if you saw that Unite Wall out here. But the Unite Wall says, what age did you start using drugs? What do we see a lot? 13, 14, 15. Okay, so people that we do see addiction, recovery, and behavioral health are 35, 44. That's our primary demographic, right? But we're learning that they're starting at 13, 14, 15. So in the hopes of continuing to grow the employment services, keep the youth on the right path, we have apprenticeships starting, we have internships, job shadowing, trying to get kids, these youth, that sometimes are, pushed aside because maybe they're troublemakers, or maybe they're on drugs already or something. They have challenges at home, substance abuse, what have you. If we support those kids, maybe we don't have those 35 to 44-year-olds that come in that we're trying to now help after years of battling their addiction or their mental health issues. So we've started some youth programs. We have a transportation service. We will come and get you and bring you back to transportation or back to the clinic via our transportation. We use peer supports in that because we know that it's easier to sit not staring at somebody and having conversations that are deep and uncomfortable than it is fun looking you right in your face. So peer supports are our drivers, so they can have that support maybe in a car ride to or from their house. We take them to the pharmacy, or the grocery store if we need them. We take them to any way that can support them outside of just our office. And then I talked about childcare. Finally, we just have we became a CCBHC certified community behavioral health center. So we could take that piece beyond just addiction recovery and really focus on that dual diagnosis, that co-occurring illnesses, and we could focus on behavioral health as well. And with that, open the youth programs, it opened up a field of opportunity that we were able to continue to build this recovery capital in the clients that we see. And we didn't have to just focus on MAT or MOU. Right? So I think that is my time. And we'll talk about questions afterward. And I'll get a lot of things to actually just right here in a minute. But with that, we're going to go ahead and we are going to welcome Mr. Jonathan Philpot at the end there, and he's got some things he's going to show us.
Very great, thank you. I'm not going to, belabor the point. You'll heard a lot from me already. I will say, just to zoom in on this one aspect of what we will provide as technical assistance for recovery houses. We encourage that a recovery house should have good connections within the community. So it is a requirement for most of the houses that we certify that the residents work, and we expect that the house should have relationships built with community partners to help that happen. And so a lot of times folks will integrate with local programs such as Goodwill Industries has several programs that that those operators will encourage their residents to go to, job training, things like that. We also encourage, if not a formal recovery capital scale, some kind of formal recovery planning that they retain so that that the residents are working towards meaningful life goals. So, and that the operator themselves knows what those goals are and, checking in with them. So, what we don't want to find is, somebody's just hanging out in the recovery house, right? And they're not working on anything, they're just living there, kind of, in limbo a little bit. We offer all kinds of technical assistance. We have several community partners ourselves. One thing right off the top, we can, we work pretty closely with People Advocating Recovery, PAR. One of the trainings that they will come and do for free is a training on the language of recovery, which is just about how you think about yourself. If you think, clean and dirty, you're really, it's poet, and you're a person in recovery is not dirty. You're not a dirty person, right? So that, is some of the gist of that training. Think about the positive things you're doing instead of, folks finding ways to beat themselves up or continue to use themselves. So that said, I think I'm going to just wrap it up there in terms of, I already told you I am what we do. Our goal is to provide quality recovery housing, and the sign of quality recovery housing is good community connections to help those residents become members of the community in whatever way that they need. So that's also very individual to the houses. So I'll wrap it up with that and further questions later.
All right, Mr. Siler, the career advisor with KCEOC. Ready for you.
Well, first of all, I am with KCEOC, Kentucky Career Center, which is located on the square in Barberville, Kentucky. I'm actually one of 5 career advisors that are there, and also have with me Tyler Martin, who is our business service representative. Also, he's here today. So I've been there at the Kentucky Career Center in Barberville for about 5.5 years now. And during that period of time, I've worked with a lot of different people with many different needs. And some of those needs have been in recovery or after they have been gone through a recovery program or reintegrated back in, trying to reintegrate back into perhaps a career that they had before, or wanting to find a new career path, get a job, also find solutions for other needs that they have. So what I want to just share with you today is just maybe some of the experiences that I've had. And of course, if y'all have any questions later, I'd be glad to talk with you about, discuss those as well. I guess the first thing that I was introduced to was when one of the programs was called Inspire grant that we worked with some years ago. Some of you may be familiar with that. And we worked with some of the clients that were at that time in the recovery program at Hope City and also Redemption Road, which is here in our area. And we also continue to work with clients from both those recovery programs. Some that worked with recently are attending school at Southeast. We have a new Southeast campus in Barberville. Some of you may have been there before. We got to visit it. If you haven't, I encourage you to come. It's located on Shelby Street. And this has been a game changer for us. It really has, because people who are in recovery many times do well in a program where they can quickly see success. That they can go through for instance, a 16-week training program to get a certificate of some kind. And Southeast Community College offers such programs, such as CNA, for instance. And so we've seen several go through CNA, lobotomy, programs such as that doesn't take long to get that certificate and get into the workforce, which is really good. And so just to give you some examples of some folks that I had worked with, I remember one lady that I worked with that actually came from another state. She had been in the healthcare field before, but got into it, had become addicted, and was going through the addiction recovery program in Oak City. And she wanted to get back in the healthcare field because her life was turning around. She loved it. And so she went back to school. She had a certification in the state, but she wanted to get her CNA. So she completed the CNA program at Southeast and is now going on to further her education. So that's clearly it's been a success story there. One of the many. Another one, also same situation when the CNA program is now going to be going into the registered nursing program. So that's another one that I recently worked with. So we're having some success stories like that, and it's good to see. And they're also getting jobs, once they get through with those programs, they're getting jobs as well. Now, one thing I will say about people who are reintegrating back into the workforce, there's special challenges, as you all know, for those who have been going through recovery programs. A lot of times, especially if they're trying to get back into the workforce, sometimes employers are hesitant to trust them or hesitant to take them on. And that presents a particular challenge. I think that's where we come in, is that we need to educate employers and let them know that they can end up being some of the best workers that they will ever have if they're given a chance. Probably all of us at some time or another in our lives, somebody has given us a chance, haven't they? They've given us an opportunity to prove ourselves in some way. And so we have to educate employers that on the benefits of giving people who have a chance to prove themselves and to be the employers that the employees that can be successful employees. So, but anyway, it's been a great partnership working with Hope City and Redemption Road. We're going to continue that and working together with them and for Southeast Community College, and they're continuing to expand programs. One program that just this year actually that has started at Southeast is the turf management program. It's the only turf management program that I know of in our area. And several of the men from Redemption Road are in that program. So they're going to get through that program in about a year, I think, and they're going to have several certifications to be able to work to maintain golf courses and different things in turf management. So these are the kinds of things that need to be provided. I think people are seeing the need for providing these kind of training programs, so forth, so that people who are reintegrated back into the workforce that help them be successful, and that success will just help build their self-confidence, their self-esteem, provide them with the income they need, and it just all works together, as we just heard in the last I was in the last presentation of the out there, the workshop, and out in the main auditorium there, and he was talking about all the things that work together, all the different trauma, all different things in our lives that work together. And I've seen that as a career advisor. Sometimes when people are going through the process of getting training or trying to find a job, and you think they're just right there, ready to get that job, ready to start that new career, then all of a sudden something happens, and it doesn't come to fruition. Well, that's where it comes to us, because if we can, we need to try to find out what happened, because it may be something that we're not even aware of that's happened in their life, that has been a stumbling block, that has caused them to stumble, that's caused them to come short of that goal, getting that job that they were hoping to get, or completing that training they were hoping to complete, or whatever. And so that's where it comes back to us to say, what can we do, or what resources out there that will get you the help that you need to overcome that obstacle, to reach that goal that you've been trying to reach. And so anyway, that's just some of the experiences that I've had. And as I said, I'll be glad to questions you might have.
Okay. All right, now we have Mr. Thomas McClure, the acting chief of party for Support Centers International.
Okay, well, and thank you for chairing the meeting. It's been a long story for me, you know, I mean, I guess because I'm quite an old guy. I'm from Corbin, born in Corbin, graduated from Berea, and spent a number of years working for Save the Children office in community services and development in Appalachia, Tennessee, and I was the director of their Georgia office, their Texas office. And also in my career, country director for Save the Children in Egypt and Pakistan. And got very involved with working with children, families, and communities. And as I got involved with working with children, families, and communities all over the world, this whole thing of addiction comes into play. In other words, that's a totally destroyer of lives and of communities and of development. And so I moved along in my career into the area of addiction, treatment and recovery, and what role could be played in terms of furthering more effective and helpful programs for individuals and for communities. Support centers has been around. I founded support centers over about 30 years ago. The whole idea was to work with families, communities in terms of building a stronger self-help, democratic operations, and it's been quite a run, I would have to say. I have worked with Dr. Mooney quite extensively as a director of country director. I brought Dr. Mooney into Romania in terms of helping introduce some of the Western ideas about recovery and treatment in the post-revolutionary society of Romania and in Serbia. So these were developments in this kind of field of addiction. It just became huge. The idea of the role addiction plays, you know, in individuals' lives and family lives and damaging societies. So as part of the support centers, we were on the community advisory committee for the establishment of Horizon. There's one advantage of being old and around. And also we helped found this conference in 2017 in Corbin. And at the Corbin Library, we had 50 people. You know, we had the mayor attending, we had the police chief, we had a lot of people saying we got real problems because in 2017, we didn't have such an influx of federal funding, of huge amounts of state funding for recovery and for treatment and so on. So there was problems, real problems. And so that conference addressed those problems. Dr. Mooney was involved in the first meeting, and Dr. Mooney said, let's focus on solutions. Let's focus on solution. Everybody knows the problems in Appalachian. You know what we've got here. They've been well documented, but not many people are talking about solutions. So that's how the idea of solutions came into this conference. And it's really been exciting to see the growth and development of this program in collaboration with Union's College Center for Addiction Studies. We started in 2017, and Kathy, and also now we've had the wonderful inputs from Cosmina, you know, who makes everything tick, you know, and makes it run quite smooth. And so we are now working on furthering the collaboration and cooperation among all those agencies that are out there dealing with the issues of addiction, the issues of recovery, the issues of the impact on community and on society. I want to go back to Dr. Mooney. He's an incredible man. and he's an incredible servant in terms of recovery. And Dr. Mooney was saying, you know, he addressed it. And from his own experience from the accident that he had, pain and suffering as a growth experience. Pain and suffering as a growth experience. And that's exactly where in my view, and in many people's view, that the recovery process begins in pain and misery. You know, and call it what you will, call it a bottom, or call it, you know, crisis or whatever. And there's an intervention, there's a need for emergency, immediate services. And usually that involves emergency care. That involves detoxing, that involves treatment, that involves counseling, that involves work with the family and so on. So he mentioned again, and I'll refer to this, and it's very, very important, that that recovery is a growth process. It's a development process. Well, it's a development process where we're beginning with this pain and misery, and we're moving up to a level of living that, as he mentioned, includes some happy, joyous, and free kinds of existence. But that's very unusual for an addict or alcoholic or someone that's in the pain and suffering side of this disease. But as the title of this group is Support for Building and Living a Healthy, Sober Life. A healthy, sober life. It is possible. And it is being done. You know, we have examples, and he talked about long-term recovery, you know, the accomplishments that come with abstinence, you know, from these mood and mind-changing drugs, and from alcohol, and from drugs of a variety of reasons. Now, Dr. Mooney has put a huge investment into materials that are very relevant, and you've got a copy of this, My Life in Recovery, that I think was distributed. And this is a wonderful workbook for people that have gotten to the stage where they want to build a life in recovery. You know, they're through maybe the counseling, the detox stage, and they say, how can I build this kind of life? And it's a step-by-step process that he's developed here. That's a wonderful resource material, and I hope you and your agency will be able to utilize it. It takes about 10 weeks to go through the course. We've done a pilot study in Corbin, and out of the 8 people that took the course, 6 are still maintaining sobriety. 2 relapsed, but that's pretty good statistics. You know, they were dedicated and committed to the recovery process. Dr. Mooney also mentioned one of his greatest achievements was the recovery program. And this is the Bible, in my opinion, of recovery, you know, from the beginning to the end, in terms of how do we deal with it? What do we do? How do we deal with, you know, with ourselves and also with others' situation in terms of addiction to drugs and alcohol and variety of substances. So again, I want to go back to the idea of that recovery is a development process. And at one point we talked about the recovery pipeline, you know, where you're coming in, you know, from the detox center, you're going into institutional care. You're then moving to maybe an outpatient basis with a counselor, an addiction therapist, counselor. And then you're moving into maybe a aftercare situation. You're meeting with other people who've been through the process. And then you're out in the world, right? You're out in the world, and possibly, hopefully, you find a 12-step group, you know, that will meet your needs and be ongoing and is basically going to be there for the future for any of those that need care. Because when the federal money runs out, when the state money runs out, 12-step groups are going to be still there. And that is one of the reasons they are incorporated into this conference. We have, yes, a need for professional and for clinical work. We also have a need for that community-based support. So that's one of the reasons. Now we have today Narcotics Anonymous, we have Alcoholics Anonymous, and we have Al-Anon. You know, as community-based volunteer support, again, for helping build that healthy, sober life. So this is, how many, 5 minutes? 5 minutes. So moving along in this process, that recovery as a development process, one of the tasks that essentially support centers is taking on is further ways and means for someone that has been through the development process, through the recovery process, through the treatment process, and is now ready to launch themselves into the real world, either through employment or let's say through recreation, through family work, and they're going to run into risks, you know, because the real world is not the kind of world that we have in the therapeutic community, where it's somewhat managed, somewhat controlled. So how are they going to deal with it? And one of the tasks that is now being approached very seriously, because we're having many people that are now at the stage of their recovery, that they're dealing with real life issues, the same kind of issues that put them into drugs, into the kind of escape that alcohol and substances give them. So one of the focuses of support centers now is to further the ability and the opportunity for recovering addicts and alcoholics to, let's say, travel in risky situations, try to take a cruise without booze, be in hotels that are all everything's complimentary. So as further to that, there's been an association now that's called International Recovery Tourism. And that is a combination of people that are in the field and that want to make more safe environments for people that are out there post-treatment, that are now traveling, that are also living a more full life, moving toward this whole idea of how to have a happy, joyous, and free existence that Dr. Mooney mentioned. That's one of the goals of recovery. So I just want to share with you just in this time, 2 minutes, right, that things are happening. We're not at the same stage we were in 2017 and 2018. There's been a huge influx of money. We've had the problems, at the time. We had overwhelming problems. And now one of the problems may be that it's too funded. That's my opinion, that maybe there's too much dependency upon money and the support that goes with it. But as a support for that, we have the 12-step programs, that are community-based and community-funded that will be ongoing even after some of the federal programs reach the end of their time and so on. So that's kind of my take on this. I go back to the idea of a sober, productive life, meaningful, purposeful, enjoyable, happy, complete, and this is the goal. This is the development process of recovery. That Dr. Mooney, I think, mentioned so well in his presentation. It's something that's out there for all of you, whether you're a clinician or you're a therapist or you're in recovery, whatever. That's a very suitable and laudable goal, to see for yourself. Can I be happy? Can I live a purposeful life? Can I be of service? And so where do I go after I'm clean? Right. That's kind of my take on this. And again, to say we're very fortunate here in Kentucky, to have had excellent guidance and support from people like Dr. Mooney, from people like Dr. Walzek, from the Center for Addiction Studies, from Cosmina and other people that are making this conference take place. And I have to say, it's one of the better conferences that I think going around, in terms of this whole process of recovering as a development, in a development process. Thanks for letting me share.
Finally, and thank you for Alright, so now let me talk for 15 minutes, sorry. But that leaves us 15 minutes for questions, right? So I invite you right now to ask any questions you have, experts in housing and employment and support services. And I'm an expert in nothing, but I will do my best. So,
Chase,
Yes.
does Jackie Murphy still work for you with housing with the homeless?
I'm not familiar with that name, so I'm not.
Okay, so back in January, when the shelter in Middlesboro got pulled away because it was not up to code, she had come in when they were at the Civic Center and talked to a few people, but then it kind of fell off, and I had been emailing and Facebook messaging her, and there's nothing. Is there somebody in KCEOC that I could talk to about getting about 4 people into some sort of housing?
Yes, yes. What you would need to do is just call our main office, which is 546, or you can give it another 606 546 3152. You can just ask for housing, or you can ask for Jennifer Smith. She's actually over the housing, or Sean Bingham also, you could also talk with him. But we do have a shelter there at the main office. That's one thing I wanted to mention also, because as we talk about all the interrelatedness of the, addiction, a lot of times homelessness, he was talking about housing earlier. All of these things many times are connected, and we also have right up above our office, we have a youth homeless shelter, which is called Ryan's Place. And so we work with a lot of people who come into those shelters, and to hopefully get them employed, help them find employment, and then hopefully get them back on their feet and find a place for them to live, and so they can.
I will probably, I'll definitely call back. So we've got about 4 people that we've pulled actually away from the other residents. Because these 4 have stayed clean for now 4.5 months,
Right.
which that's a huge accomplishment. Your son has been in the streets for the last several years, getting high every day.
Right.
So I just wanted to know what we had available for them, because the shelters are no longer happening in Middlesboro.
Yeah, just call them. I'm sure they'll be glad to tell you what we have available.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think you have some fellow Bell County associates, colleagues here that could probably help you, get connected to somebody after you call, or you how to connect with them. Other questions? Topics of conversation.
I have a question for Mr. Philpot. Is there an enforcement division of the Kentucky Recovery Housing Network?
Well, I guess let me ask how you meet first.
Well, as far as, some of the nefarious characters and organizations that present themselves as reputable recovery housing, is there any enforcement division to limit the harm that they're doing, like a process for reporting the harm?
It depends, I guess, is the best answer. So our statute that required our program had trigger dates to it, right? And so we haven't hit those dates yet. So you have a recovery residence has until June 30th to apply for certification. And if they don't apply, then the city and county governments would have legal standing to close that or to take legal action to close them. So in that sense, you could report to them. If it was a place that we certified and then you find that it's not a good place, then you report to us and we're going to go see. At the point that we revoke your certification, we'll put them on some sort of remediation plan or whatever, if they end up losing their certification, then they're in the same boat with the city. Employ them. And I've seen cities do, some interesting things. So like,
Code them to death.
well, like you guys, right? Stepworks, that's there in bid, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys have some houses in E-Town, I think. In Elizabethtown, it's honestly what they chose to do was just kind of the worst way you could possibly do it, I think. So they passed the city ordinance. And frankly, I'm not sure that this is legal for them to do. I'm not a lawyer, I'm giving legal advice. However, I think that their city ordinance, just my own personal opinion, even will say, not as a state employee, but just as a human being, is that they are probably violating the ADA. They made city ordinances that target folks with a disability, essentially. But they have created a recovery residence compliance officer, which is, we sort of tongue in cheek refer to as recovery cop, because he is legitimately like he is attached to the police department. He wears a body cam, and goes into and has, per their ordinance, authority to go into these recovery residences. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's not the intent of what our program is for. It feels like a city's attempts to sort of weaponize our program, and that's not the goal. However, so all of that to say, especially after December of this year, which is the you have to get certified date. So we've had a bad actor to like apply, and then it gives the runaround for however long, especially in the grant days, right? They're just trying to run the grant money out before they complete that grant deliverable of getting certified. So the statute requires folks to get certified by December 31st of this year. So after that, you can report them to us, and we'll send it to the right person. Or if they haven't applied, even after July 1st. It's unfortunate. Prior to that statute, Kentucky was completely the Wild West of recovery housing. No requirements, no statutes, regs, literally nothing.
That answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Ms. Wynn, I was gonna ask, before we even started, you mentioned where Horizon Hill was, and I believe where they were coming to. Is that right? Bell County you listed last. So my question is, do you have any idea projected date of when you all would be in Bell County?
And do you on the project?
Yes.
We were supposed to open the great building in February, so heavy on the project.
Okay.
But we're supposed to be at the beginning of 2025, so probably.
Right.
But we have a MAD expansion grant, for this person. We have like $1 million grants, it's fine. But yeah, so we'll go right now to 3, right? Also Willie, and then we'll go into Clay County, Manchester, and then we'll make our way to Bell, which we are also doing some pre-work in Bell County. I love what you guys are doing there. We've been doing night meetings. We've been doing a couple recovery meetings and recovery law that we were celebrating will be tomorrow. One of the Law Festival. So we're doing some pre-work. I'm really big on community partnership. I have a luxury in my position because I'm not billable. I don't have to worry about billable. Somebody else does that. So I don't have to look at anything in competition. I look at community. My community, not competition. That's where I see the change. I understand the need for billing. I understand the need for all that good stuff that, that's my paycheck. But I don't have to look at that. So anytime that you guys are going money, yeah, that's somebody else's job. So anytime that you guys are doing something, we'd love to be a part of it, especially because we are coming there. You all have great work. We want to fill in the gaps, right? So we want to know what services are missing. What can we bring about kind of that's not over there? So that's kind of so objective again.
So we're working on the recovery community thing. Do you want me to send that to you with what we like?
Okay. And that way that when we get there, then we can actually, expand on services instead of repeating the same ones, because we do offer a lot of the same ones. We have IOP services, we have outpatient services, we have independent departments. But those are existing, as we've heard, these gentlemen are doing a great job of what they do, and that's not even half of what's out there. So, we need to be pieces need to be in place in Bell, Knoxville, and as they expand farther. And it looks different county to county, and I have the luxury of letting it look different county to county because most of my services are not going to be diligent.
Thank you.
Questions, discussions, disagreement?
You have a comment?
I do have. I'll do to you a question on it. We got 5 minutes left. Everybody.
But somebody's been answering it. Hey, all right, Jenny, how does addiction affect an individual's ability to obtain and sustain employment?
Great question.
Well, there's several ways that interest or ability to obtain employment. First of all, starting out what we were talking about earlier about self-confidence, shame that was mentioned earlier, so forth. They need encouragement. They need someone, anytime to walk alongside them as they maybe do a resume, do a job search, see what is available in the community, and so forth. Also, there's the problem of, let's talk about earlier, the stigma, of drug addiction. Some people, some employers are just hesitant to give them the chance that they need. And again, that's where we come in, that maybe we can just encourage that employer to look at the benefit of giving somebody a chance. And, but also the sustaining of employment, as I said earlier, there's a lot of factors that are involved. We talked about the housing, we talked about transportation. That's a big issue in our county. I'm sure it is probably in Dale and other counties as well. Transportation is a big issue. And we don't have a whole lot of resources out there to assist with the transportation issue right now. Hopefully that will improve. But transportation is the issue. Another thing is rebuilding the relationships. If there's someone who is from the community or have previous work experience in the community, sometimes they burn some bridges, past. They've got to repair some relationships. So there's a lot of things involved, but those are just a few things that we've encountered and tried to work through. You exceeded my expectations.
Great conversation. You want to end on your question?
Yeah, just real quick,
All right.
it kind of figures back off of this from Jim. You talked about the roadblocks that they have for employment and employers reluctant to hire a big recovery. Do your agency work with employers around this local?
Yes.
Like that?
That's what Tyler's position is, actually, the business service representative. He goes to employers, he talks with them and so forth, and that's what work he does.
Have you found that it's get pushed back?
I haven't went into that yet, but we're going to there's a guy from Kentucky that I've been working with their department, and we're going to enter into the Dodge County jail, and then I'm learning about federal bonding and tax credits that an employer can get if they hire someone an inmate that's getting out into the community, et cetera. And so I guess one of my jobs is to educate the employers about that, let them know that this is available. Our career advisors will work with the inmates, find out what their interests are, and then if there's a certain company that they're wanting to work with, I'd go and meet with their employer and see if they're willing to, go hire them or whatever, work out some kind of deal.
And there's other ways that we can keep them hired as well. But yep, so I've been kind of learning about all the different little things that are available to the employers that it's an incentive to hire the inmates.
So fun fact, I really love the community for almost 10 years. Everyone when they get, I don't know everyone, but everyone knew that I had a soft spot. And I guess I was doing peer support long before I was ever a peer support specialist or whatever. But people come out of jail or come out of treatment and they come see me. If they work for me for 6 months, I can get them into any factory. I could get them into England's DTR, Secretary, that's the factory, Smithfield. But if they work for me for a solid 6 months without issue, I could get them in anywhere.
Just from your reputation.
Right, because everyone knew that if they could deal with me for 6 months.
They're good to go.
It's stress. Okay, so we all have ever been to Waffle King, but it's once every one cook after like 11 o'clock. It is stressful. You know, $1,000 may not seem like a lot, but if you have once every one cook $1,000 shift, they're probably crying to walk in. So if they can deal with that kind of stress and keep up with it and be kind and not get fired for telling someone off. Yeah, so, you know, and if they felt like they were gonna fall off the wagon, like I would talk to them, like I said, I did peer support before I knew it was a thing. But if you'll find someone that'll work with you like that, it opens you up to a whole lot more doors. And I didn't know that the factories were even doing that until I left, and the new manager came in. And they expected the same thing to continue.
All right, we're gonna end on that fun fact. Some people have been coming to this session, thank you. And you all enjoy the rest of your day.